Welcome everyone to the Game Vault Podcast. I am your host Tom Schuster. Joining me tonight is Mark Myers. Tonight we'll be discussing big news from the latest Nintendo Direct and reviewing our Retro Roulette game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the Sony Playstation. But before we get to all of that, Mark, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so I'll leave the big thing that we've both been playing till the end. But I will start off with I have gone through 2 chapters of Life is Strange: True Colors, and it's really good. Yeah, the thing I like about it is that which was different than when I tried to get into Life is Strange 2, is that right from the beginning, the writing and the charm is there to sort of grab you. And the updated graphics and animations, take it over, the original Life is Strange, which is why I am very curious to see what the remaster looks like for Life is Strange. Because it's not so much like a watercolor effect on the characters. It's very realistic now. So I want to see if that changes that game. But so you play as Alex,
okay,
who's going to a small town, and essentially she has the power of empathy where she can feel what other people are feeling, like as though she's like having the same exact emotion. So far through it, you're just working through puzzles of trying to get people to overcome those emotions or calm them down. Or there's a really good one with the flower shop lady, which I won't spoil. That is pretty good and hit a little close to home. And the entire relationships in this game harken back more towards Life is Strange, where I definitely have a hatred towards most characters, but or it should say I should have hatred towards most of the characters that you're supposed to have hatred towards, and love the ones I'm supposed to love.
Well,
they do blend in that gray area, which is good, which is what made the first game so great. Like the arc of Victoria's story in that first game, where you absolutely hated her because she was mean girl in the first episode or two, and then by the end you're literally like trying to save her life. Spoilers for like a 7-year-old game or 6-year-old game, whatever it is at this point.
I think we reached the limit there.
Yeah. So and the small town they're in is perfect because it's not a huge scale. It's a little more open world than the last Life is Strange that I played through. The one thing that's pretty cool about this one that I didn't realize I used as a crutch in the last one, and I think it's an improvement, is that the first one, her power was that she could rewind time. So every time you make like a big decision, you get to see the outcome, and then you can rewind time and choose the other one if you like that one better. In this one, when you're making your like story important choices, some more important than others, you get one shot at it. It's like, hey, you either do this, you either do A or B, and you'll see what happens. No way of going back, because there's no hard saves, all auto saves. So
that would be a problem for me.
So it encourages multiple playthroughs essentially. But there's most of the hard choices have been pretty easy in terms of knowing the way I'm playing Alex to decide. It's really good. It's definitely going to be a contender for Game of the Year with me, just like the first one was. But I got about, I think, 3 more chapters to go. I believe it's 5 chapters. So we'll see how it finishes up, see if it sticks the landing a little bit better than the first Life is Strange did. You can see, I think there's an article on the maindamie.com from when I thought they, didn't completely stick the landing there, but it was still my favorite game. I'm playing. Yeah, go ahead.
The idea of her power being the power of empathy is a really interesting approach for like a superpower. Like I don't think I've ever seen that used in like a cinematic sense. So it's interesting to see how, because I would consider myself an empath. So it's interesting to see how you could turn that into like a superpower. I think that's really cool that they've used that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little video gamey at times when you're in it, where just being generalizing here. You feel the emotion, which she does the dumb video game thing of putting her hand out.
Of course. Just how else is she gonna feel it?
Yeah, exactly. So And then you get to look around the room and see points of interest that may be making the person or feel the way they're feeling. So a little bit, video game puzzle thing with it. But the way the scenes play out are pretty cool. Yeah, and the one thing that maybe I'm a little late to the party knowing this, but apparently the Life is Strange universe is at least games one, the DLC Before the Storm, and this game are in the same universe, like the same world, essentially. Because one of the characters, Steph, in this game, was in Before the Storm, which was the prequel to Life is Strange.
Interesting.
So
I like that.
I don't know if it's going to have any impact, but if you're going to name a game something and it's all about teenagers having superpowers, might as well put them in the same world, because it would be hard to explain that there's 3 different worlds where this takes place. But yeah,
I'm always on board for an expanded universe. I like that.
And it's very much YA, as we were describing one time in a stream chat, but I love it. There's some really good writing in it. At least for the genre, we're not talking like Hades level writing where there's like at least 1 million pages of dialogue and you never see the same one twice. But yeah, so I've been really enjoying that game. I because I'm a masochist, I paid the $10 for the upgrade for Death Stranding, for the PS5 version, to get those new sweet levels, get that Kojima hit. It's a very funky, to export your save, you have to, in the PS4 version, you have to go to a delivery station to export your save. So essentially you're delivering your save. And it made me laugh out loud when that prompt came up.
Could they make it more Kojima, please?
Oh, I haven't gotten there. First thing is my character wakes up and the character Die Hardman is like, I got an urgent thing for you. I'm like, oh, I'm in. That's
great.
The only downside is the way that game works. I had a whole bunch of stuff on me, but to be able to start the new game, I had to do the teleportation thing to another region on the map, so I'd lose all my stuff. I'm guessing they're assuming that when you beat the game, you're on that you don't go to the other regions, that you're already in that region, because that's where you end the game.
Right.
But I went to another region because I was rebuilding my roads. So, but yeah, now, so far it looks a lot better. Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, did you get to build more roads? I know that's like your big thing in this game.
I finished it. All the roads have been built.
Okay, so they didn't give you more roads to build.
Not yet.
In this.
Not yet. Apparently there's going to be a racetrack somewhere, so I'm wondering if there's going to be new roads, or I haven't gotten deep into it because I'm, really into finishing Life is Strange, and I guess the third game I've been playing. So I purchased Deathloop. Was able to get it. I wasn't able to get it on the Friday it came out because I was out of town, but I did get it and finally started playing it this weekend, right before we started streaming here. I really like pardon the pun, the loop of the game. And the only thing that may end up being one of those frustrating things, just because I'm not really that highly skilled at games, is that the invasion system with Juliana. Like, right before I ended, I lost the loop where I had a lot of points, the residium points. And right before I got to the exit, she invaded. And it was like literally right by the door that leads to the exit. And not a spoiler, but for those of you who don't know, when it's very early in the game, it's in the prologue, like when they're teaching you the tutorial part. When Juliana invades, whether human or NPC, or AI, I should say, not NPC, they close off your exit to the level, and you have to kill her or go to a special place to open up the exit again. So it might. I'm hoping it doesn't turn into one of those situations where, like in Red Dead 2, where I do the task that took me 2 hours to do, and then I lose it all because of a random invasion. But besides that, I'm loving the shooting. Feels real good. The powers I'm liking so far. I had 2 of them, but I lost one of them, because I didn't exit with it. And I'm looking forward to playing more of it. especially tonight, and hopefully, with the way friend of the podcast Jonathan mentioned, should be able to have it done by the next time we record. Hopefully, unless if it just takes me a very long time because I'm terrible at video games. But I'm curious because I know you are also playing it, Tom.
Yes. So I have not played as much as you because my life has been a
Yeah.
absolute nightmare for the last like 2 weeks. Just because it's been super busy around here. But I did get to play about an hour and a half of it. So I got through the tutorial mission and I started the second mission. And I do like the mechanic of, well, not the mechanic. I guess it's more of the there's more lore if you want it, like in Fallout and game and like Destiny and games like that, where you can go searching for more lore. Like you can log into a computer and read emails and stuff like that if you do really want to. And it's pretty funny. It's not a spoiler because it's in the first mission. If you log into your email and you click on the spam email, it alerts all the people that you are in your apartment and they come to try to kill you.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was a pretty cool thing to do in there. But so far, yeah, it feels really good. We should probably disclose we're both playing on PS5.
Yeah.
So the controller feels good. Like it has adaptive triggers and stuff, so it takes a minute to get used to that stuff. But I was surprised at how much I liked playing a first-person game with the PS5, the DualSense, because I have not enjoyed first-person games in the past with like the DualShock 4 or the DualShock 3. I
It
always
feels good.
I always preferred the offset, like the Xbox controller, but for whatever reason, this one feels much better. I guess it's because it's bigger. It makes because I have big hands, so having that controller fit in my hands for once feels good. But yeah, it looks great. It looks amazing, but I'm hoping to get it more into it. Like the characters, it's funny so far. Like the dialogue is all really good, really well written. It's a Bethesda game, so you got to be careful. And every once in a while, you'll get a glitch. Like I had a had a glitch happen to me. I got through the first mission, and I went to go do the second mission, and like the whole thing soft locked. Like
Okay.
you know how where you go to the next mission, you hit circle to like get out of that menu to get into the mission. I hit
Yeah.
circle and it just stayed there, and then nothing happened. I had to like hard reset the game. So that was a little annoying, but I was like, all right, it's the first day this game came out. I'll cut it a little slack. But other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, I haven't found it too difficult. I'm usually not good at sneaking, which there's a lot of sneaking in this game, but I've been doing all right, and I'm really excited to get more into it. Hopefully in the next coming weeks. I don't know that I'll finish it because they say it's like 18 to 20 hours, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the one thing I had. Have you had the menu issue yet?
The men the like in
Where
during
you
gameplay.
go into the menu and then you go to back out and it doesn't back out and the game basically soft locks.
Well, that's basically what happened in that menu when I was going from one mission to the other. It's basically the same issue.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I paused to check something on one of the clues I got, and then when I tried to back out, it just
yeah,
yeah. So
the menu likes to do its own thing for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know what like if it's an overlay thing, like it pulls up the menu overlay and then it doesn't know what to do when you try to get rid of it.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely. I've had the soft lock there, so
Yeah, I had the 15-second lock recently, where the game just freezes and then like 15 to 30 seconds later it comes back on.
yeah.
Um,
It's a Bethesda game. You got to
yeah,
know that this
it's
stuff's
going to
coming.
get patched. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about that. There were some people I was reading in the Reddit because I just wanted to make sure there wasn't like a trick to like go to the PlayStation home screen and go back in and it'll take the menu thing off. And so I went to Reddit and checked that, and there's a whole bunch of people going, "Oh, I'll just wait for the patch. Plenty of games to play." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. You see,
Like, and thankfully, when the only thing was one guy had a true complaint. Said he was 2 hours into like a loop, and then it did that, and he lost all progress because basically you go back to your checkpoint, like when you start that as time of day.
I would have to kill somebody. I went. That would be my Red Dead moment.
Yeah,
That'd be when I go, "Yep, I'm not playing this anymore."
yeah,
Also, waiting for the patch is a terrible idea.
yeah. You
That's what
forget about it.
well, that's what I keep saying that for Cyberpunk. I'll just wait for the next patch. I'll wait for the next patch, and then I just don't care. I played it for like an hour, and I
Yeah,
just haven't touched it since because I was just waiting for it to get better, but
yeah,
it hasn't.
yeah. I pushed my way through it. Um,
Eventually, I will get back to that game because I purchased it twice, so I'm going to play it at some point.
yeah, I was listening to a podcast, talking about cyberpunk, and a lot of the things they said. I don't know if I said this on our podcast, but it made me reminisce and even consider going back in. But that there is like there's some kind of a kernel of a game in there that is really good, but they need it like another year
Oh yeah.
to to make it work well.
The biggest problem with Cyberpunk, which is a problem I have with games in general today, is that they told everybody about it before they had anything.
Yeah.
Like they had nothing and they were already starting to talk about this game and hype it up,
Mhm.
which was a mistake because as soon as you announce a game, you need to have something or else people are just going to make up their own ideas about what it is and it's going to get overhyped, overblown, and if it's not the greatest game in the world, then everybody's going to hate it. And that's what happened to Cyberpunk. It's happened to other games. I'm so glad it did not happen to Final Fantasy VII Remake
Yeah.
because they actually had something when they were talking about it and it didn't take 10 years. It took a while, but it didn't take
Yeah.
10 or 12 years or however long Cyberpunk took. Because I think they announced Cyberpunk before Witcher 3 came out.
Yeah.
So that tells you how old Cyberpunk is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that tangent there is just to talk about this game has issues, but it's more Bethesda jank issues than Cyberpunk game breaking issues. So the waiting for the patch doesn't really apply to this game.
Yeah.
That's my long way around with that. Because essentially the game works fine. Game is great. I'm eager to get into the thing where you start setting the dominoes up for killing the visionaries and trying to get it done in one loop. I'm already getting some clues into how to do that. But yeah, I'm having fun with it. And then looking forward to diving back in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like I keep thinking about going to play it, and then I just realize how tired I am, and I can't, I can't continue playing it
Yeah.
at the exact moment I want to. But I
Yeah,
will get to it.
that's what I did yesterday when I came home from your party.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna play it, and I'm just sat there, I'm like, no. And then I was like, oh, Death Stranding, I'll just do that
yeah, that
for
happens
an
to
hour.
me too. Like I'll be like, I want to play Deathloop, and then or whatever Kingdom Hearts, whatever, and I go, I just don't feel like getting into it right now. I'll just
Yeah.
I'll just play Switch Online or
Yeah,
whatever.
something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. With I think there's only a couple more games the rest of the year that I absolutely need to play. So
Yeah, there's only really one for me at this point. It's I think Forza Horizon 5 will be it for me. And I won't even have to purchase that because it'll be on Game Pass.
yeah,
But yeah. So something else I played recently, Digital Foundry did a DF retro on the F-Zero franchise. And there's been a couple of like weird F-Zero games that haven't come out in the US. Like there was something in Japan called the Satellaview, which is basically like a download service for Nintendo for some of their games where there's a link to the past ROM hack, not a ROM hack, but it's like a special edition where I'm pretty sure you play as Zelda, and there's
oh,
also some a Satellaview special edition for F-Zero. And I watched that video. I was like, I need to try out this Satellaview F-Zero. So I went through and I started playing. And I started playing this F-Zero game, and I mean it's fairly similar to the original game, same music and everything, but new cars, new tracks, and some new mechanics, which I thought was really cool. But it's tough. It's a tough game. Like F-Zero pretty simple and pretty easy, but this had a lot more challenging difficulty, and I imagine that's because it's a Japanese only game. They would probably have changed it if it came to the US, I would imagine, just a little bit just to balance it or whatever. But it was a lot of fun. And if you have a way of getting hold of that, I highly recommend it. And Mark, I'll let you know how you can get a hold of that Zelda game.
yes,
But
the
yeah,
DMs are open.
but yeah, I was playing that on the Mister, and my God, I love this thing. I can't I can't praise it enough. Like if I went back to 2014 or 15, whenever I started like really like collecting and stuff, and this wasn't a thing yet. If I could tell myself to just wait, I would have waited and not spent money on anything and just got a Mister and got because there's like you don't need anything. And I am a proponent for original hardware, and this thing as much as humanly possible, it delivers on being cycle accurate.
Yeah, I'm glad it's
And
working out for you.
yeah, like Mark, if you like if in the future, I would say like if you get tired of doing the computer emulator thing, which we don't do, of course.
No,
Uh, I
you mean
highly
if
recommend.
my legitimate systems break is what you need.
Yes, exactly. I highly recommend a Mister because it's just like you can just load it all up on a memory card, all of the cartridges you own, and just you could play anything from like Sega Mark III from Japan to you could play Neo Geo and Super Nintendo and Genesis, and they're working on a PlayStation core and a Saturn core. Once those come out, I may never touch my original systems just for the mere fact that I don't want them to die.
Yeah, yeah. Put them on display.
That's basically what they'll be. That's basically what it'll be. Everything will just be a display piece at that point because I can literally play anything I want on those. Like we'll have to still use PS2s and Xboxes, but those I feel like, especially mine, because I have a hard drive in my PlayStation 2. It doesn't have as much wear and tear on it. But yeah, I once the PS1 core and the Saturn core come out, I'm pretty much never touching original hardware again, just for the mere fact that I don't want them to, and end up in a landfill. And I can still, if I really want that experience of putting a disc in and playing, I can do it. But yeah, if you have the ability to get your hands on a Mister setup, do it. If you're into retro
Retro,
games,
yeah,
yeah. If you're
for
into
sure.
retro games, old arcade games, because there's a million arcade games on this thing too. So if you have the ability or desire to play retro arcade or console games, get a Mister. Go to retrorgb.com. They have a whole setup there, so go check that. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. We might as well get right into it. So Nintendo had been like trying to sneak around and do FCC filings about controllers and things. And well, it wasn't necessarily a controller. It was the FCC, like the code that they used for controllers was filed, and it was like almost the same as the Super Nintendo controller for Switch Online. It was like one number off. It was like one number higher. So everybody's like,
They'll
"Oh,
never
that means."
know.
Right. So everybody's like, "Oh, that must mean something's coming to Switch Online."
Yeah,
For whatever reason, everybody thought it was Game Boy. Like I
yeah. That
understand
was
why
weird.
you might think it's Game Boy because Game Boy is easy to emulate, but I don't think anybody gives a shit about Game Boy unless it's Pokemon or the Mario Wario games.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody cares.
yeah.
And that's
Metroid 2 maybe, but
right, maybe Metroid, but there's not a lot of people clamoring for Game Boy game. And most games that people are clamoring for are Pokemon. And I'm sure Game Freak or whatever has something to say about having every Pokemon game on there when people can still buy them in the eShop for 3DS and Wii U. So I started hearing rumblings about it. Oh, it's could be an N64 controller, and I was like, okay. And then they moved up the date for the what's it for? It's not like a non-compete. It's like whatever it is that allows people to see what they filed for. They moved that date up like like 6 months to Thursday or Friday or whatever it was.
yeah,
So everybody's like, all right, they got to do an announcement before this comes
that.
out. So Nintendo quickly, I don't know how. I mean, I imagine they had to have planned for this, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think they had some things ready to go, and they just threw it together to kind of get all this stuff out. Because they also announced within this direct, they announced two other directs that are going to be taking place
right?
later.
We'll get to that, but that was really weird to me. But
So I think they were like, we got these handful of games, we have this, we have the like Fever Dream announcement that we'll get to at the end. But yeah, I think that's sort of what they did. Not as quickly as we think. I think they've been planning this a while.
Yeah.
Going, hey, we need to have another direct at this time, and then this thing happened. They were like, all right, let's just drop what we have on this date. And I think that's why this direct looked a little jumbled, but still great.
Yeah. I think Nintendo has figured these directs out. Because they left E3 a long time ago and we're doing these tree houses directs and things like that. So at this point, I think they've got it pretty well figured out. There were some some question marks, but we'll get into all of that. Like there's some stuff that I just don't care about. So I'm gonna just highlight some things that I thought look really cool. And Mark, if I don't mention things that you would like to talk about, feel free to jump in.
Yeah.
I love that they opened the game they opened with. It's the first time I wanted to play a Kirby game in my whole life. The Kirby in the Forgotten Land it looks like an open world Kirby game where there's no people. It's like a post-apocalyptic Kirby game, which I thought was a really cool concept.
Yeah. It's just I've played Kirby games, but haven't played them enough to be ultra hype about this. But I am down for any game on the Switch at this point, because they haven't really had a bad one.
Yeah, I just feel like Kirby's like the perfect character for them to take to a three-dimensional game. I was racking my brain, and I don't even Kirby 64 is not three-dimensional. It's a side scroll, which I was like, why have they never taken Kirby into 3 dimensions? It just it blew my mind that they haven't done it. And I think that he's like the perfect character because you can do all kinds of exploring and stuff. Being Kirby, you can float and fly and everything else. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they come out with after the trailer.
Yeah, and to specify, I meant the Nintendo first party games on Switch. There's probably been plenty of third party games that have been great, but
a lot of garbage out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Nintendo is the one I'm going through my head. Like I don't know if the other hardware manufacturers, with their first party stuff, can just out of nowhere pull things and go, here's a Kirby game. Oh yeah, Kirby, I love Kirby. Sort of response to it. They have such a vast array of characters like that, and I get Smash Brothers is helping keeping them all in players' minds.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea that I'm sitting here where I barely played the Super Nintendo one, and I'm going, try out a Kirby game.
Yeah, I mean,
it shows you how good they're doing.
Yeah, I would totally pick this game up and play it. But I think we need to wait a little bit and see what they have in store because you never know. I'm sad because I don't think what's his name is involved with Sakurai because they're holding him hostage until that last DLC fighter is revealed. I'm just going to get into it real quick. They announced that there will be another direct on October 5th to name the final DLC character for Super Smash Brothers. Like, why waste the 5 minutes to tell us that? We get it. You're gonna just announce it next week. Why? It's like I never understand when they're teasing another direct when they're in one.
Yeah, it's because they know people will watch the Smash Brothers direct. It's that and Pokemon, maybe Animal Crossing, where they can just do a direct dedicated to that, and people will.
Exactly, and then they go, oh yeah, and then we're gonna they're like, oh, we're gonna tell you more about Animal Crossing. Just kidding, it's getting its own direct in October also.
Yeah,
all right, guys, just don't tell us. I'm all right.
It's just that was the funny part. It was like the whole going, oh okay, all right, yeah, of course they'll do an Animal Crossing thing here. Yeah, that makes sense in this direct. Oh, this is just an advertisement.
Yeah, okay. we don't need your own commercials throughout this thing. Another thing I really didn't care about is I realized how little I give a shit about Splatoon 3. I
never played it, so
I had no interest. I like shooters, and Splatoon is technically a shooter, and I just don't care at all. I feel like they were holding it till the end for a big reveal, and I was just like, oh, it's Splatoon, okay?
And I see the appeal, but like I said, I never played it, so I'm not gonna put a harsh criticism on it or anything. But it sells well. I see it all over Twitter, and when it does come out, people talking about it. So there's definitely an audience there for it. I just wish they didn't make it so ass backwards to play with your friends in it.
Yeah,
In
that's
that you have to download an app and then use the app to talk to your friends.
that's my biggest gripe with it. Like if I could just get on, like they need to talk to somebody from Xbox, because if I could just get on and play Splatoon with friends, I would think about it. But I don't want to open an app, get a stupid adapter to connect my phone to my headphones to my mic. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I remember when they showed the diagram to try to hook your headset and
Oh
controller
yeah.
up to your phone. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, because nobody is going to do this. They're just going to use Discord like normal human beings. Like it just blew my mind. I was like, I couldn't understand why anybody would do that. Anyway,
It's just I'm glad it wasn't the final announcement,
me
because this direct ended the way it should have ended.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole I mean, there's a couple interesting things. I have Castlevania Advance Collection, which was, I thought, interesting. So it's all of the GBA Castlevanias, and also Castlevania Dracula X
Yeah.
coming out in a 4-game pack for the Switch. I thought that was really weird. Like, Dracula X is like the black sheep of the Castlevanias, I feel like. And they were like, oh, we'll just throw it in there. Like, they couldn't just put 3 games in there? I don't know. It just seemed weird to me.
At this point, I heard somebody say this, so I'm not going to take 100% credit for this. It just seems like a lot of these, like, third-party Nintendo, Konami in this case with Castlevania. Right, it's Konami, right? I'm not dreaming that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long week. Is just like, hey, the Switch is selling, at least in Japan. It's selling here too, but it's like they're looking at it going, we got to get anything we have on that and just make money. We have these things we can remaster for pretty cheap. Throw them on there, all of them. It's not gonna be that hard. They can all go in one cartridge. We can save money. Boom, and they'll set it at $30-$40, and we'll be able to fund the next game.
Yeah.
With that. Seems like everyone's gonna.
If they would just take the money they make off of this and just make a new 2D Castlevania, I'd be happy. Like, just give me something. Like, they haven't. I feel like they haven't released a real Castlevania game on a real console. I say real console. Not the GBA or the DS in quite a long time. So I think we're primed for another Castlevania. Again, this could just be a temperature test to see how many people actually want Castlevania, and also, while we're on the subject of retro stuff, ActRaiser Renaissance, a remaster version of ActRaiser, came out also on its shadow drop that day, which I've heard some very mixed reviews on. It kind of looks like a mobile game. It's kind of weird. Like, you would think that if they knew this was coming out, like they would make sure that it plays just like the old game, but I'm hearing all kinds of stuff saying it does not play like the old game.
I guess it's another instance of, a developer not really knowing the Switch is popular, but not really understanding why, and just thinking it's handheld, so we can do it kind of like mobile. Yeah, just have it that way.
Well, the weird thing about this game, though, is it came out on the PS4 too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird. Like, it just doesn't. They like tried to add in all these story elements and stuff to the game, and it's just not. It like really extends the playtime unnecessarily. But I don't know. I've heard mixed things about it. If you want to see a video on it, go check out GameSack. They did a review of it like the day it dropped. So go check that out and let us know what you think about ActRaiser Renaissance, and if you played the original ActRaiser. I know our friend Dan likes ActRaiser, so I'd be interested to hear people's opinions on that. Okay, so also another Square title. Project Triangle is now called Triangle Strategy. Real great name.
Downgrade.
real great. You should have just left it Project Triangle strategy. You should have just left
Yeah,
it there instead
yeah.
of dropping it. Just leave it the way it is.
The best joke that I saw was someone was like, "Why is a company called Square making a game about Triangle?" I was like, "That's the most care you need to put into a joke about that game."
Yeah,
Um, I love the HD 2D, so
I do
um,
too.
it'll be interesting to see if the game, once we this is the game that I'll definitely wait to see people talk about. Whether Twitter reviewers before I purchase or go forward with it. But yeah, I love the look at it look of it, and sometimes that's enough for me. But especially if it's one of those games where it's going to take a while, I need to know that it's at least fun. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, since they did Octopath in this style,
yeah,
like I'm okay with this style. Give me a Final Fantasy VI remake in this style. It doesn't have. I don't need it to be Final Fantasy VII remake. And just give me like Final Fantasy 4 and 6 in this style, and I'd be happy. Which I guess the pixel remasters are kind of like that, but I
not
need this.
all
I
the
need
way.
this. I need
Yeah,
this 2D 3D thing. I need
yeah,
the tilt shift. Give me that.
yeah.
More Square news. I know everyone's been clamoring for it. Chocobo GP is coming to the Switch. Now, have you ever played Chocobo Racing on the PlayStation?
No.
So just looks like Mario Kart with Chocobo.
Yeah, the fidelity doesn't look great though.
No,
In it.
it does not look great. But it like you can have up to 64 player like multiplayer. I don't know how. I guess it'd be tournaments if to do it that way, but
Yeah.
it's a thing. If you like Chocobos and you like Final Fantasy, check out Chocobo G. Let's see. Anything else of Metroid Dread got an extended trailer. I
Still looks
didn't
good.
it still looks good. I'm sure Kurt will be telling us how much he's looking forward to it. I
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I may pick it up at some point, but there's a lot of games where they fall. I've noticed that with other systems that are not Xbox, there's a lot of games that fall into that. I might check it out one time that I'll probably never check out. That like I downloaded Lost in Random on Game Pass, and we'll probably play that because
Yeah. No, yeah, like
just
if
because of Game Pass.
I feel like Nintendo needs a Game Pass. I would play a lot more of these games in Game Pass.
Nintendo will never do that,
I
and
know I know
one,
they wouldn't do it, but if they did, I
oh
feel
yeah,
like Metroid Dread is a game
it's
I would play on it.
it's one of those things as I gotten older and understood the industry a little better. Nintendo's not going to do any of that just because Nintendo doesn't even like reduce the price on their games.
Yeah, first party games,
Yeah,
you'd be really lucky
yeah,
to get a game on sale. They'll do them every once in a while, but it's like once every 6 months or something or longer even. But yeah, Metroid Dread for me to check it out. I think it needs to be $40 for me to jump into
check
it.
it out.
That's just me. Just
Yeah,
me. Let's see. Shadowrun Trilogy is coming to Switch. I guess they're doing like a little bit of a. I don't know if they're doing like a remaster or like a.
yeah. This very much feels in that same vein of the couple other games we mentioned, where it was just like we need to get our game on Switch.
Yeah, we need to get all three of these games on the Switch. Everybody's buying a Switch. Just throw them on there.
There's one that you haven't mentioned yet that is very much that.
Let's see. Disco Elysium, I'm sure is
No, no,
that.
no. That's just going on to all the eventually because they had exclusivity. That's now they're eventually making it.
Let's see. What
To
else is
everybody.
coming out? Deltarune?
No, do you want me to just say it so you
Yeah,
don't go
just
through
go for it.
everything? They're putting the Knights of the Old Republic game,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the
So
original game,
the original
not
game,
the
not
remake.
remastered, just the original game, yeah. Because I'm sure the new game will not run on a Switch.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of that, to get to another piece of news, the it was weird seeing the Dying Light 2 trailer and just calling it the Cloud Edition.
Well, that's what they have to do now
Yeah,
because games like that will not run natively on the Switch, so they have to call it something else because
yeah,
it's not
yeah. It was
actually being played by the Switch. It's being played by a computer somewhere and streamed to a Switch.
yeah, it was just weird seeing it, knowing that they have to do that, and good on Nintendo for actually doing it. But yeah, just the fact that our system's not powerful enough to do this. You're not going to get a hard copy version of this, so all the collectors are going to be pissed off about that.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, But if Dying Light 2 comes out, no matter how that game is, and performance wise it's good through the cloud, I think it's going to open the Switch up to so many other games that they haven't even tried to put on there.
Well, the new Guardians game is going to be cloud only also.
Yeah,
So I feel like those two are like the measuring stick to see
yeah, they're the
how
guinea
well
pigs
how well
essentially.
they work.
You know, just sort of if these work, then you'll get Call of Duty, and
Yeah, you'll start to see Madden, things like that again because EA's got their own program.
yeah,
All right, let's talk about the last reveal they did, and then we'll go into the Switch Online.
yeah,
So I was watching the direct, and I was like, are they are, are they making Astral Chain 2? Because
yeah,
they did a like a fake out on you because the mascot from Astral Chain shows up for some reason, and you're like, what's he
yeah,
doing here? And then all of a sudden, Bayonetta shows up and destroys the thing. So I
yeah.
thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and watching the trailer the second and third time through, the tip off happens because he's wearing a platinum hat and not like
Not the
you
cop
know
hat.
yeah, it's got the P with the star in
Yeah,
it hat, so it's sort of like that's the platinum dog, I guess. But yeah, it was the I don't know if you did this, but when the subtitles first came up, I was like, "What game is this? I know those subtitles." Like, I was like,
yeah,
"This,
yeah. It
yeah,
was like this looks super familiar. Like again, I thought it was Astral Chain because these two like
yeah,
giant things were about to fight each other, and I feel like they're gonna take a lot of stuff from Astral Chain and put it in Bayonetta 3 because now you can control kaiju's or whatever they're calling them. I don't know, demon kaiju.
yeah." It was just it was one of those things like, and then as soon as she shows up, I'm like, oh,
Yep,
it's
totally
Bayonetta.
makes sense. Totally get it
Yeah,
now.
yeah. It it looks like a Bayonetta game on Switch.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to describe it without making it sound like I'm like being negative.
I
Um,
feel like Bayonetta will eventually come to the PC because
yeah,
Bayonetta 1 and I think Bayonetta 2 is also on the PC. So I imagine eventually you might see Bayonetta 3.
yeah, but whatever they had to do to get Bayonetta 3 out is fine.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that I was curious about, I haven't played either of the games to completion, which I should play them. But there was a lot of theories about whether this is a prequel
That's interesting
because of the way her hair is.
because it's braided.
It looks like I saw someone say the way the hair is looks like the hair from like a photo of younger Bayonetta in one of the games.
I don't know. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
Also, it looks like there may be a Devil May Cry crossover.
yeah,
We'll see. We'll see. We've yet to. I mean, there's so little known about Bayonetta 3
yeah.
still. That they still they all they said for Bayonetta 3 was 2022. They don't have any idea when. To me, that says November or October of 2020, but that may not even happen. All right, so let's get into like the big thing. Well, I guess we'll just mention there's going to be a Super Mario movie, and
But Jack Black's going to be Bowser.
Jack Black is going to be Bowser, and Keenan Michael Key is going to be Toad. So
Those are the most important
that that
casting choices.
that's all you
No
need
one
to know.
else weird was casted in that movie.
Nope, there was no weird stuff happening in this movie at all.
The thing I don't know if he's deleted it at this point, but I saw the video from what's his name? Chris
Chris Pratt.
Pratt. Yeah, I keep wanting to say Chris Pine, and I'm sort of stopping myself. Chris Pratt's Instagram where he sort of says that it was his dream to voice Mario because it was a game he played in the arcades or something. It's really
Well, I mean, he could have played it in the arcade technically.
yeah, no, it was a really no. The video is like really weird. Like it's sort of like wink and nod stuff. Like if it's still up, go watch it and just see if I'm crazy, listeners out there. That it didn't feel like 100% sincere. It's like more him being passive aggressive and everybody pissed off that he's Mario. Um, but besides that, I think I don't. I got obsessed with watching all the react streams from like the big, couple personal streamers I watch, and then the big outlet that actually watched it, and every one of them lost it when Seth Rogen came up as Donkey Kong.
I love that casting.
It was like it was what broke them. Just come like everything else was like aha, Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, King of and then Seth Rogen came up and it was just like headphones off, just mute the microphone and just laughing. Because it really feels like a fever dream. The casting
Feels
for
like
that movie.
they just went down a list of people that were popular 4 or 5 years ago, and we're like, yep,
Yeah.
we need this person, this person, this person. Yep, we need all of them. We'll figure out who they're playing. We just need them on this movie.
The funny part is the only two that really I'd have to look that like have done any really popular or have like history with it. Well, Jack Black's done a lot of voiceovers.
So is Chris Pratt.
Yeah. And
Chris Pratt
I was
did the
going to say,
Lego
and Chris
movie.
Pratt. I'm sure the other ones have done other ones, but it's funny that the one that's getting the most beat on, which is probably because if you think Mario's Italian, not picking an Italian American to do it, and just hope that Chris Pratt's not going like it's me, I'm a Mario, with it spaghetti, being really offensive about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's Mario's voice, so it's not really that offensive.
But like meaning like if he like really leans into it,
Yeah.
and not being Italian, it starts to come off as offensive. But yeah, that the craziest part, and this is the last thing we'll say about it, is that I come from the feeling that you either let Charles Martinet do everything, or you don't involve him at all. Giving him this petty, oh yeah, you get some cameos. Sure, yeah.
It's weird that they were just like, oh yeah, he's going to be in it. We're not going to say what he is, but he'll be in it. Like that's weird to me.
He's
like
unless if they're doing some sort of like split where he plays like Jumpman, and Mario's different than Jumpman, sort of thing. The only thing they could be doing is that he's going to play all the voices that are like Yoshi and the characters that have voices but don't actually speak words. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he's just going to do all those characters.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
They better be giving him a whole lot of money because I just feel bad for the guy who's done all these voices for 20 years or more. And
so long they've been doing it, and then you're not going to get to do it. Sorry.
Yeah. Even if they just gave him one role, like he was Luigi,
right?
Sure.
Something. I don't know. I guess they're trying to not make them, the same. I imagine it'll be a different universe, essentially. Like the like the comics, like the Marvel comics and the Marvel movies are different universes. I imagine it'll be.
Yeah, I just get worried that Miyamoto or Nintendo or whoever makes decisions got caught in that Kojima trap where it's more worried about the name, of the actor than the person who can actually do the part.
Yeah.
Are
you talking about Kiefer Sutherland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specific. And even like an idea of doing like a what's her name? The I'm not even gonna remember it. The French actress that plays Fragile in Death Stranding.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You could have had little she's in that game, relatively. You could have found a voice actor to do that.
Oh yeah.
And not had to get her. But yeah, that's why I'm just hoping they're not falling into the.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll hear more about it. As I'm sure again, it's a weird thing that they would talk about it and then just because I was so confused that I thought it was going to be a live action movie when they first talked about it, but I then rewatched it. Like, oh, it's going to be animated. That makes me feel a little bit better. But anyway, let's get to the big topic. Finally, some more stuff is coming to Switch Online. We're getting N64, and we're getting even more surprising Sega Genesis.
Yes.
Who saw that coming? I want to know.
Sega's relationship with Nintendo is really weird. In that I could see Sega approaching Nintendo and going,
I could see that too.
You will get people to subscribe to the thing if you do us with N64. Just give us cut us a little check.
Yeah, the weird thing is though, like a lot of the games that are in the lineup, you can buy in the eShop, which is weird to me. Like you could buy a bunch of these games in the eShop already, but they're also going to be on, which is fine. That's fine. I'm more excited about N64 because I think like them doing the 3D All Stars, the Super Mario 3D All Stars, was kind of a test to see how well they could get that emulator working before they went and released all these games on Switch Online.
Yeah.
And some interesting games in here. Obviously, you got to have Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time and Mario Kart and Star Fox. But Sin and Punishment is one of those games that nobody really knows about, unless you're like really into retro gaming. Because Sin and Punishment was a Japanese only on rail shooter that not many people know about, and it's supposed to be one of the best on rail shooters there are. And they had a sequel come out for the Wii, but again, it was just not really well known. And I think that it's going to be like one of those sleeper games that all of a sudden people are going to find out about, and everybody's going to want another Sin and Punishment.
Yeah, and just like Winback.
Yeah, exactly. Like weird stuff like that.
I had the same reaction. It was fun watching other streamers have it when they were doing the montage, and it popped up, and I was like, "Is that Winback?"
Yeah, it's like weird games like that. And I'm glad that they at least said like, oh, this other stuff is going to come too, like Banjo-Kazooie, Paper Mario, F-Zero X. F-Zero X got me really pumped because I'm an F-Zero stan.
Yeah, and they had Majora on there.
Yeah, Majora's Mask was like the first one they said. They were like, oh yeah, Majora's Mask is obviously coming if Ocarina's coming. So, but yeah, Kirby 64, we were talking about that before. It's a weird side-scrolling game on the N64. So you can go check that out too.
I'm just hoping that this year ends. They would have announced it by now. I'm still holding out hope for Wind Waker on Switch. Because now all the I have the ability to play all the Zelda games I like, or like in my top 5.
Yeah.
On Switch right now, outside of Wind.
Well, hopefully they will get the hint after Skyward Sword and they'll release.
Yeah, they just got to get everything off Wii U and just put it on Switch.
Yeah, at this point, you might as well just anything that was on the Wii U, just put it on. Some of the interesting ones in the Sega lineup, Musha, which is a really rare shooter. It's like a vertical scrolling shooter where you're like a mech. It's regarded as one of the best vertical scrolling shooters of all time, especially one of the best ones for the Genesis at least. And it's like super expensive to try to buy it. So the fact that it's going to be on this is really cool. They've got Sonic and Streets of Rage 2, Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore. These are the games that people purchase a Genesis to play. Phantasy Star 4, Shinobi 3. These are all like AAA Genesis games. So if you are a Genesis fan and have no other way to play these games, even though they've been emulated on about every system, this will be a good way for you to play it. And the fact that they're also releasing controllers for both things. I'm a little sad that the US is only getting the 3-button controller again.
I was wondering if you were going to mention that.
Because Japan is getting a 6-button controller, but we're getting the 3-button controller for some stupid reason. I understand that that's like the 90s Genesis controller. When people think of a Genesis controller, it's that one. But you gotta give people the 6-button controller, especially if you're gonna want to put games that really use it. Like if you're gonna put fighting games and stuff on it, you gotta have that 6-button. But anyway, I'm gonna buy all of this crap, even though it's gonna cost more money. Because they're calling it the expansion pack. Of course they are, because that's what you need to play any freaking N64 game.
Yeah, and it is very much needed in terms of, I was enjoying my deal of spending $20 a year and getting all those games that we were getting. Of course, at some point they would have to.
Yeah, I mean, it was inevitable. We all knew it was going to happen. But I'm really excited. I'm more excited, I think, for the controllers than anything, just because I'm going to have a Bluetooth N64 controller, and that's going to be awesome. But yeah, looking forward to it very much. But I think that's going to do it for the Nintendo Direct. We're going to move right on into our Retro Roulette game, which is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the PlayStation 1. Mark, we've been joking about this for like months, I think, since Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake came out, that you've never played the original Tony Hawk, and now you finally got the time to play it.
Yeah. So, the beginning of this, I'll say, I have a feeling I think I would have more fun with the later games.
Yes.
Because I started to figure it out a little bit, but the PS1 and the controls in the first game were hindering me. I think the main thing that I started to get to understand the grabbing and all that stuff and doing, the tricks and all. By the end, I couldn't figure out how to get a lot of air. So maybe that's just a me thing, and I should look it up. But I was able to get to the mall, get enough tapes to get to the mall. I somehow got a big trick that got me one of the tapes by switching rails without even trying, and then still landing the trick.
Yep.
So, or else I probably wouldn't have got to the mall. But yeah, I can see the appeals to the game, and I would really like to either try the remake or maybe Tony Hawk 3.
Yeah, I would say I feel like those games aged way better just because of the controls and things like that.
Yeah, and there was no analog in this.
Yeah, because everything's a button combo. So like you have to do like, especially for like your special tricks, it's like up down whatever, up down circle or things like that. So using analog is tough. I never use analog on Tony Hawk games unless I'm like just doing like a driving mission in Thug or something like that. But I always use digital.
Yeah, it's just the the muscle memory to go to the analog sticks is hard to break.
Yeah, I get it.
So yeah, but I think the only thing I didn't get by the end was how to score really, really high. And I think it's just because I couldn't figure out how to get enough air to do good enough tricks or even use the specials and stuff like that. But it felt the way I thought it felt. I liked it better than Aggressive Inline in terms of like after going through the runs a few times, figuring it out. So if I can get the remakes for really cheap on some kind of maybe super sale on Steam or something like that, they're on Steam, right?
Yes. Yeah, they're
maybe I'll experience that.
But there's also a PS5 version.
Yeah. So if they get super cheap at some point, I'll test it out to see if it's worth it. I'm probably not going to spend anywhere near after going through this and just going,
Yeah, like I said, like I'm thinking $10-15 would be what you want to spend on that game.
Yeah. So, but I did enjoy it. I turned the I had the music, a little bit lower, even though that's the best part of the game. But I just wanted to concentrate and try to, figure out how to play it. I played it a few hours. Like I said, I got to the mall and couldn't figure out how to get up to get the T and skate, and it just got frustrating. And I'm just like, I get it, I wouldn't have been able to do any of the competition, so I would have been done after the mall.
Yeah.
So
like the biggest issue with the first games are that the physics are more realistic, and doing like combos and stuff is way more difficult because there's no way to really chain together any combos. So you kind of have to just do a whole bunch of stuff in the air and hope you don't fall, or do a bunch of grinds and tricks in between the grinds. It's really the only way to get high scores in that. And the physics being more realistic will cause you to not be able to do all that stuff that you want to do. But yeah, if you liked this game, I'd say Tony Hawk 2 and 3 and maybe even 4 are they aged way better.
It'll be I might end up calling my uncle and getting Tony Hawk 3 and trying it out.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. But yeah, I really like this game still. I mean, obviously the music is a big deal to me. This kind of was the soundtrack to everybody's childhood, I think, at this point. Like as soon as Superman starts playing, you're like, yep, it's 1999 or whatever it was when this game came out. But yeah, like I said, the physics were a little more realistic in this game. There wasn't as much stuff to do, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think towards like Tony Hawk 4 and stuff, there was almost too much stuff to do. So the fact that they kept it to this like specific list of things to do in each level, I think kind of made it a little better. It gave you more direction, especially when you only have 2 minutes to do a run. But I used to be good enough where I could go like one run and do everything in one run, but I'm not that good anymore. But it's still a lot of fun. And if you like skateboarding, or even if you don't like skateboarding, you just like the idea of skateboarding, I'd recommend checking this out. But yeah, if you want to check out Tony Hawk 1 at this point, I'd recommend I'd either recommend playing Tony Hawk 2 or getting the remaster, because the remaster plays very well. It plays a lot like the original games, but it allows you to do the stuff that they added into the other games, like reverts and manuals and stuff that is just missing from Tony Hawk 1 because they weren't able to get those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, highly recommend it. Let's give it a score real quick. Mark, what do you give this game?
Yeah, so and this is if reviewers slant, as they say. I'll give it a 3.5 because I can see all the bones there for the great games that come after it. The soundtrack is good, at least for what you want for a skateboarding game. And there wasn't any like real game breaking issues that weren't because of my own inability to understand the controls. So like I said, the other games are probably in the 4 to 5 range, from what I've heard. So a good 3.5 here, just because at the time this is probably much higher on everyone's list, but time, as you said, has not treated this game well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think 3.5 is a perfect score for this game because games later in the series just did everything better. This was a groundbreaker for sure, but I think once you get up into the 2s, 3s, and 4s, and maybe even if you like Thug and Thug 2, those games do things a bit better. And I still really love Tony Hawk 1. It's got a soft spot in my heart, and I would highly recommend even checking it out if you are into skateboarding, though, or just want some 90s nostalgia. All right, I think it's time to spin the wheel. All right, we got a good one, Mark. Playing Blaster Master for the NES. I think this may go like Bionic Commando level for Jen. We'll see what she thinks when she comes back from the dead.
Yeah, Blast Master is definitely on that level of game that I've heard a lot about, but haven't really played a lot myself.
Yeah, I've dabbled. I've never gotten very far in it, so this should be interesting to play on stream. I'm looking forward to it, though. I always like. I'm glad. It's been a while since we've had like a original NES game, so I'm happy we finally got another one. But I think that's going to wrap it up for us this evening. Mark, before we get out of here, do you want everybody to know about our family of podcasts?
Yeah, so we have our D&D podcast, Stranger Damies, airs every other Wednesday. So if you're listening to this episode when it airs, the new episode for Stranger Damies will be next week. The way we have it is alternating Game Vault Pod 1 week, Stranger Damies another week. So it's a good way to track it. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Stranger Damies. And we're going to be putting all of our photos and stuff on there now that we're doing it in person again and not over the internet. So a lot more content going to be coming to the Instagram. So be on the lookout for that. We have our movie podcast, They Call This a Movie, airs every Thursday. You can follow it on Instagram and Twitter at The Main Damie. MainDamie.com is our website where all of our content lives. All the podcasts, Ant's 31 Days of Horror, which is coming up for October. So just be on the lookout for that. It's a great time of year to get started with the website. And then we stream on twitch.tv/GameVaultPod. Currently 3 days a week. We do Mondays, which is Tom's Retro Stream, where he plays either the Retro Roulette game or an old RPG. Wednesdays is our multiplayer night, where the three of us get together when schedules permit, and we play through a multiplayer shooter, usually. We're currently doing Halo, the Master Chief Collection. And then Thursdays is my co-op night. Me and Jen are going through the game It Takes Two. I had a lot of fun the last couple nights. Our last couple times doing it. Looking forward to finishing that game. I think we're almost at the end, so it should be good. And then we might be opening up some weekend streams now that, not much going on and we should be home a lot more. So maybe we'll have some fun grab bags or just random streams on the weekend. Just make sure you keep an eye on the Twitter because as Tom will let you know, we are the same in all places. So yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
Yep. So make sure you're subscribed on our Twitch channel, our YouTube channel, and we on our Twitter and Facebook at Game Vault Pod on all of those services and Instagram. I should also mention. But yeah, if you are listening to this the day it comes out on Monday, check into the stream. We're going to be playing Blaster Master. So if you're playing along at home, load it up and let us know what you think. Before we finish up, I also want to mention that we're an affiliate of Stone Age Gamer. If you have a need for any retro console accessories, whether it be power supplies, controllers, cables, anything you might need, go on over there via the link in the description, or I believe we have it on our Twitter as well. So if you want to check it out, go through that link. Anytime you purchase something, it gives us a little kickback, and it allows us to make those streams and podcasts better for you guys. So thank everybody for hanging out tonight, and hope everyone is staying safe and being well. For Mark, I'm Tom, and we will catch you guys in the next one.